My name is Ben Martig. I'm the new city administrator starting here in May of 2016, so just about a month into the job, I guess. And just to give you a little bit of my professional experience and background, most recently I came from the city of Marshall, Minnesota. If you're not familiar, Marshall's a town of about 14,000 population, but it's really a regional center of southwest Minnesota. So it about doubles in daytime population, major employment center. Marshall's home to Southwest Minnesota State University, a four-year public institution there, as well as the Schwann Food Company and a number of major agricultural industries as well, and also kind of a retail and entertainment hub within Southwest Minnesota. So very similar type of community, I guess, as it relates to city government and the management that I bring over from here. So I started there in 2008, worked in Marshall during that time, about 8 years, I guess, wrapping things up. And I was involved in a number of major capital projects there, I guess, were some of the defining things that I worked on there. So I worked on a new municipal liquor store project, a two-sheet ice arena and civic center project for the city, some industrial park, major expansions within our industrial park that we were doing. We had a public safety training center, an industry training center that we also got some funding on from the state of Minnesota with some local option sales taxes to help that in conjunction with the Civic Center project that I talked about. Library went through a couple different phases of expansions within a public library system there as well. So certainly I was involved in a number of other policies and things along the way, did some reorganizations of our economic development operations, dealt with some budget challenges with local government aid getting cut. So again, probably a lot of similarities, I guess, bringing my experience from the city of Marshall over here to Northfield as far as my professional background. Kind of stepping back in time a little bit prior to that, I first got my education started at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, public administration and political science, double majors there. Went on to graduate school at the Humphrey Institute at the University of Minnesota and got my Master of Planning degree there. Along that time is really where I started to hone in on my interest in local city government. Specifically, I got a couple of work study program paid internships that helped cover some of my school costs during that time, working in the cities of Cottage Grove and the city of Fridley along the way in their community and economic development areas within the city, and working on a number of planning, zoning, housing, economic development type projects along the way. So I got my feet wet there along with the good solid educational background. And then I went to work for a couple of other communities, I guess, along the way. The city of Anoka, I worked up there in their community development department, worked on some redevelopment projects and some administration type special projects were assigned to me. Also coordinated the recycling programs there, and then went on to be the city administrator in the city of Blue Earth. That's kind of a long history there. I won't give you all the job titles along the way, but I started out in Blue Earth basically filling in for the city administrator who got called into active military duty after 9/11. So I was an interim city administrator, kind of went into a number of roles along the way, ended up as their permanent city administrator, which actually was my hometown of Blue Earth as well. So south of Mankato, smaller community, but was really a full service community. They had an airport, had a senior center, had a swimming pool, had kind of public works, streets, parks, all those types of things. So really got my feet wet. That's really kind of where I think I learned on the ground the technical side of the job, whereas kind of my educational background probably gave me kind of the analytical skills, some of the background pieces with that. So, the Blue Earth kind of gave me a nice springboard into working with the city of Marshall. I initially got started out there with planning on updating and enhancing my resumes and interviewing skills a little bit. And lo and behold, the community blew me away with all the great things that they had going on. They really are a very collaborative community. There's a lot of strong partnerships, and they've worked hard to build kind of a common vision to work together as a community to move projects forward. So I was fortunate to be kind of one of those people along the way to make those things happen. So professionally coming into Northfield certainly feels comfortable to me to come here. Fill in this role. I think I can really hit the ground running and get some good things done. Really, the timing was right here in the city of Northfield. First of all, I was wrapping up a number of projects in Marshall. With our young family that I had, we were really looking to get closer to the Twin Cities metropolitan area where my wife has a number of extended family, which we were very close to. Having a 9-year-old and 10-year-old boys, we were looking for a community with a great education. First of all, Northfield certainly hit that mark. I consider this a lateral move, as kind of I talked about professionally, but I also think this community has a lot of great assets behind it. So I saw it as a great opportunity with its location kind of near the Twin Cities metropolitan area. It's certainly an authentic community that has a lot of aesthetic value, places a great value on education, the arts, and a lot of activities going on here. So I think it's a great community to raise a young family. So that's certainly something that drove me of interest. I think also with my experience and skill set, I think with what Northfield was needing at this point in time, I think I also fit the skills well with what they're needing to kind of take it to the next level. So I think there was a number of fits, both personally and professionally. I think this made it the perfect time and the perfect city for me to come to. Well, the short-term priorities kind of are obvious. There's a big learning curve, I guess, as a city administrator. There's a lot of people you interact with. The city government provides a number of services. There's a lot of projects going on here in Northfield. So number one, I'm listening and learning. It's one of my skills. I'm an active listener. I do a lot of internalized thinking. So I process information, kind of think it through, and then kind of create a game plan. Along the way, I'm certainly going to bring forward, I've already brought forward a few ideas of things that we've implemented here, maybe that I brought from other places that I've worked, and how maybe we can improve some of the operations. Probably more of an incremental approach that you'll see. So publicly, you probably won't see a whole lot, but hopefully we'll basically set kind of a good expectation. I'm a high professional person. I'm accessible. Certainly, I hold a high ethical standard for myself as well. I want to be engaged out there in the community, so certainly welcome me. If you recognize me on the street, don't be bashful. Certainly, get in my ear, introduce yourself. It's going to take me a while to learn names, so if administrators come across a lot of people, so that's something I'd say is just be patient with me as I kind of get to know you and the community as well. Certainly, on the short term, I also want to see some of these big projects continue to move forward and hopefully in a smooth way with the city council as much as possible as well, so that we can get action done, get our daily business done. We are heading into the budget season as well, so certainly my short-term goals are to see some successes financially to get the budget in line and to align our kind of goals and priorities heading into the new year as well. Long-term plans, I think, is really, I got to hear from the community. So first of all, the city council outlined a number of priorities. I think I'm hearing a lot of the same things on the street as I get out and get to know people here in my first month on the job. So I'm hearing that those themes really that they identified in the city administrator search are kind of echoed amongst the community, which is a positive sign that there's kind of an alignment with that. So one of the things I certainly have heard about was a shared vision for the community, trying to kind of align people and the resources of the council as far as the goals that there are and putting them to an actual action plan. So that was, one of the things I think that was identified along the way. I think, continuing to try and manage all of the great volunteers that we have out in the community. How do we harness that community energy and support that there is while still kind of looking at the big picture for the community and kind of focusing on those important things along the way. So that was certainly, one of the priorities along the way. Governance structures, how can we, as a city council and the city administrator, which you might not be familiar, I work closely with the mayor and the city council and kind of serve as the chief administrative officer for the city to then implement those policies and actions with staff. So the administrator position is important. So I think one of the things I want to do is give us good, solid foundation in the city administrator role. There's been a lot of, I think, changes over time in Northfield. There isn't a long history of stability in the position. So I certainly want to bring strong leadership to the table and help guide and work with the city council and the mayor as well as staff to kind of fill in this position and kind of set a good, strong course. So certainly working and finding effective ways to work together on things. And I think obviously financial stability with all of there's always so many things that can be done with local government, but there's only so much money to go around. So how can we best financially plan for things and align kind of major capital expenditures with kind of what we can afford and how we can do those things. I think building as a regional community with where we're located, both kind of short-term and long-term, what is Northfield's community character? What's its norms? How do we match that to try and build the growth and economic strength of the community as well, to try and diversify our tax base? Certainly is something I want to bring to the table. I've got a strong history in economic development as well as land use planning. So long-term, I would really like to set a strong course in that direction and try and align us as a community. I think what it comes down to with this community that excites me is really its people. It's a unique community. It's an authentic community. Obviously there are things that jump out at you right away as a visitor. It's a scenic downtown with some really rich architecture. Even the housing in the community, there's a real kind of diversity with that. There's also, with the two colleges in town, a lot of engagement, a lot of opportunity with the community and all of the nonprofits that we have here. So the people here are really tremendous, and the skill sets that they bring to the table. So that energizes me, even though that can create a lot of challenges along the way. I'm energized by challenges, so I certainly want to take that on. But I think the community itself is the strongest asset, and I think that there's a bright future ahead for the city of Northfield. So in my free time, first of all, I'm married to my wife Liz. She's a nurse. She's currently unemployed and going to be looking for work. But right now, her priority is transitioning in my young family that I talked about earlier. So I have 9 and a 10-year-old boys. They're young and they're active. They've got different interests in the arts and in sports. So first of all, I like to get out and get active. We've got a growing interest together in doing mountain biking, so I'm getting involved in that. I've dabbled a little bit in canoeing and kayaking, and I think this part of the state might lend itself a little bit more to that. So certainly that's something I'm looking at. My kids and my family are really what I do in my leisure time for the most part, though. So you'll see us in our kids' activities out in the community. I'm active that way. When my wife and I get some personal time together, we like to hit the local coffee shops, maybe go to a restaurant to relax, or go see a movie, or as the Northfield way, there's so many live performances here. I think that's something that we'll certainly get involved in as well. So all the great entertainment and activities are going around this community. I'm certainly looking forward to that. I'll just conclude it by saying I appreciate it, the opportunity for you to get to know me a little bit better here with giving you some background in my introduction. Certainly we'll get into a lot more about city projects and things along the way. I encourage you, if you see me on the street, like I said earlier, I'm welcoming the opportunity for you to pull me aside, introduce yourself. If you want to set up times, I'm certainly engaging with the community, with different partners within the community, trying to set up some time on the side as well. So certainly encourage that. But I look forward to serving you as the City of Northfield's newest administrator. I think there are great things ahead, and I look forward to sharing with you those items in the future.